Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sue and we are going to talk about stop hiding your story. It's costing you your business. Okay, I want to talk to the person who is on the other side of that screen thinking to themselves that their story is not good enough, their story isn't full enough, it isn't far enough along, whatever the verbiage, right? Who's been through something so totally transformational that even though it ticked the needle of health, maybe a hair bit, but they don't look at it that way like we do. That it was a story of struggle, transformation, doubt, breakthrough, and you're sitting there with it, that you need to share it. Don't sit on that story, waiting for the right moment, the right result before you're worthy enough to share it. Oh, goodness gracious. Want you to know something. That story you're hiding, it's your greatest business asset. Did you hear that? It's your greatest business asset. Okay. And every single day you keep it to yourself is costing you. We're going to change it today. I get it. Sharing your story feels vulnerable. It feels scary. You want to hang on to it tight because you're thinking, what will people think of me? What if they judge me? What if my story isn't big enough or dramatic enough or successful enough? No. I've heard every version of this from people on my team and elsewhere, and I've felt it myself. I can just feel that. I remember when my first one, in fact, sometimes sharing it can get you even more vulnerable. But here's what I've learned. The stories we are most afraid to tell are usually the ones that connect. Yes, connect the deepest. So, because they're most human, the most real, the most relatable, people sit up and listen. So, we are now going to talk about what your story actually does, okay? Your story does something that no product description, no income claim, and no perfectly crafted pitch can ever do. It makes people feel less alone. Right? Because when you've heard someone's story, you could relate to a certain degree. That made that person feel less alone and made you feel less alone. When someone hears your story and you think, that was me, I felt that, I've been there, something shifts in them. Their walls come down, their skepticism fades, and they start to believe that if you could do it, so can they. So think about that. Do you want to change lives? Or do you want to sit and hide on your story? That's not selling, that's connecting. And connection is what builds in this business. It's huge. Think about the stories that have ever moved you to buy something, the ones that you've saved or shared or got back to read again and again. I guarantee they weren't polished or perfect. They were raw and honest and real. I know. That's exactly what your story can be for someone else. Yep. Every story is enough. So think about this. Every story is enough. I want to bust a myth right now. You don't need to have massive income result to have a powerful story. You do not need to hit the top rank or paid off your house or retired your spouse. Some of the most powerful stories I've shared in my business were about someone who finally felt confident for the first time to share their story in years because of a product result. Okay, they finally, now just stop and think about that. If you have had a health issue for years and you have results and you share that story, you don't think you're going to have impact? I think you're going to have some kind of impact. How about the person that made $100 and cried because it was money on their own terms and they were able to pay a bill off or go somewhere out to eat for something changed? How about showed up scared to their first live and did it anyway? I can relate to a lot of this. Maybe I need to start waving my hand every time, right? How about said yes when everything in them wanted to say no? I can go back to my very first example when I was buying some products from my previous company. The gal that showed up the first time, I said no. Wow, if she would have given up on me, don't know where I'd be. So I'm grateful that she never gave up on me. So that is a story. And that story is speaking directly to someone who's standing at the exact same crossroads right now, wondering if they should leap into some kind of product to help them. Right? It's a story. It's not some fancy, corporate marketing loop-de-doo ad or whatever you want to call it, a loop-de-doo ad, right? Like fancy shenanigans. You're not spending a boatload of money to share your story. It's free and it's helping somebody else. Your story doesn't need to be big, it just needs to be true. So how do you share your story? How do you go about like sharing your story? Without feeling awkward or feeling salesy, here's my framework. Start right where you're at. What was your life like before? Number one. What were you struggling with? What were you searching for? And be honest and be specific. Don't skip that part because that's where people see themselves. So what was life like before? What were you searching for? What were you struggling with? Right? Share the moment that things changed. Part two, share the things that changed you. What made you say yes? What were you feeling? What did you almost do instead? This is the turning point, and it's where people lean in. Tell them where you're at now, not just the results, the feeling. How do you feel different? What can you do now that you couldn't do before? What surprised you most about this journey? And then end with an invitation, not a pitch. Just something simple like, if my story any part of my story resonates with you, I'd love to connect. That's it. No pressure, no close, just an open door. So what do you think about that one? Stories, right? That $1 million story hiding inside you. What about $500 stories hiding inside you? What if you just did one change for somebody, and that somebody did something so big you could never imagine? Ask Sarah Robbins about that one. Sarah Robbins has an amazing story. So does Jordan Trent. So does Jordan Adler. There's so many stories out there, you guys. And speaking of stories, make sure you tag and share this video with someone that you know that needs to hear this, because we want to help people share their stories and change everyone's lives. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Can't wait to hear your story and share it below.